Hi there guys, welcome back to another update from UK Reefer. This has been a bit of a long awaited update on the move over from the 170 into the 425, but I thought I'd best get this done fairly quickly just because the tank is now actually starting to take off quite well. First thing I did was just make sure I got all the buckets and everything ready to transport things into. So I'd got quite a few of these plastic really useful boxes. I'd also got my huge buckets that I mix salt in, so they were ideal. So the first thing I did was I started off by taking the coral out, and I tried where I could to try and get it off the rock. Thankfully I'd frag stuff onto rocks and stuff, so it would be easy to take out eventually, which worked really well. So I started off by taking the corals off the sand and corals that were easy to get to first, and put them into the really useful boxes with some tank water from the 170. And then eventually I moved on to the other corals that some of them were actually still attached to the rocks that we couldn't get off. So we moved on to that as like a bit of a secondary. As we were moving stuff into the buckets, we decided to set up slow drip acclimation stages. So we got quite a bit of airline, and we started dripping each of the buckets to start that acclimating. We did that for the course of 45 minutes to an hour, just to try and give it as best acclimation as we possibly could. Now the only issue we had, and I was planning on doing a bit of a time-lapse video of us rescaping the tank with the rock that was going in from the 170, but everything was going really well until it came to the last coral we were taking out, which was the hammer, that giant hammer, that first coral that I'd had. Now that was like a 20 head hammer. It was doing really well. It was like a nice round ball it was, and I was trying to kind of wiggle it off the rock. It was slowly moving, slightly moving, and just as I thought I was just about to get it off, the whole thing just shattered into 3 different pieces. Now at the time I was absolutely gutted, thinking, Christ, that I've killed that. That must have killed that. But when we looked at the pieces, it was literally just a skeleton that had shattered. It hadn't actually damaged any of the heads whatsoever. Even though some of them dropped on the floor, they still hadn't damaged. So at that point we decided to just put the camera down and stop the filming, just because the priority then was to obviously get the coral in and make sure it was okay. While we were doing that, obviously the fish, we'd managed to get them out fairly easily, and they'd been acclimating for a good 45 minutes to an hour as well. So we started getting those in, and to be fair, everything was fine, apart from the big female clown, the one fish that I thought we wouldn't have any issues with. I really thought we were going to lose her. We got her in, and straight away she was just panting heavily into one of the corners, and then she went into a cave, and next thing I know she was kind of half upside down. The other clown was kind of bashing her, trying to get her back. But yeah, I really thought we were going to lose her, but thankfully, as you can see, she's doing really well. The only issue we have had is we've had to take out the main anemone that we'd got. I've deliberately made the rock so that it's not touching the glass anywhere, so he couldn't escape onto the glass. But believe it or not, he actually let go of the glass, and the flow carried him across, which he then attached himself onto the glass, and he just started going up towards one of the gyres. So I had to make the really hard decision and tough call to just get him out. Obviously the clowns aren't very happy about that, but I had to get him out just through fear of him getting mangled in the gyres, because I've obviously not got the covers yet. So he's now actually in my little girl's anemone tank, and to be fair, her clown, she's got a couple of designer clowns in there. They love the thing, so that's gone really well. But I do need to sort something out for my clowns, just because they are now starting to host the Goniopora again. After we'd done the move, I decided to give it a good few hours just to make sure that it was all settling down nicely and make sure everything was running okay. And surprisingly, everything was absolutely fine. No issues whatsoever. The fish were all out and about. There was no problems. Even the corals were all starting to open up. Even the hammer that had been shattered into pieces was all opening up and was fine. And as you can see, we've made a bit of a hammer garden out of those 3 pieces. But yeah, it all went really well, so that's when I decided to start doing the tests. So we literally tested for everything using the Salifert test kits. Yeah, everything was rock steady as it had been previously. Obviously, I was worried about the alkalinity side of things. I didn't want any swings that was going to start messing around with the SPS, but yeah, it was absolutely fine. And over the following couple of days, I had to slightly increase the dosage just to make sure that we were still hitting the 9.3 for the alk, 450 for the calcium, and 1350 for the magnesium. But it was just slight increases, and everything's been going really well. If we now go into the sump, I'll explain a few issues and a few planning changes that we might be making moving forwards. The first one is the D&D UV sterilizer. There was a guy that dropped a comment on one of the previous videos about the UV. His name's Fierce Tuber. Basically, he was mentioning that we can't really mount the UV horizontal like we've got it, and the reason for that is as the water enters the side of the UV and passes along the chamber, it's not going to completely fill the chamber. It's only going to, say, fill halfway up, if you can imagine, which basically means that the top of the glass tube inside that houses the bulb is going to be dry. So if you can imagine the bulb getting hot and that being dry and then being exposed to water, it's going to shatter. Now, he dropped me that comment, really appreciate that, so thank you for that. And that basically made me contact D&D and speak to them about the issue, and they basically agreed and said it needs to be mounted either vertically or at a 45-degree angle. Now, that is a little bit of a problem for me because I haven't got the room to mount it vertically at all. And if I mount it at the 45-degree angle, it's going to make it really difficult to get the tubes out when I need to replace them every 6 months or so. So I do need to make a decision on that. The other decision I need to make is based around the Refugium. Now, we have been getting a little bit of growth, to be fair. The Calliope that we've got in there has been doing well. The Cheeto, not as growing as fast as the Calliope, but we haven't got as much growth as I thought we would get at this stage. Now, the main issue I'm finding is we're getting quite a bit of mess and detritus build up and die off from the Refugium going into the bottom of the sump. Now, as you'll know from the previous 170 videos, I like to try and keep a nice clean sump as much as I possibly can. So I'm going to give it another week or two and have a good chat with the lads at Complete Aquatics to see what their thoughts are. Because at the minute I'm thinking about possibly removing the Refugium, moving the skimmer to the first chamber after the clarity, and possibly getting one of the new NIOS torque reactors in the back to run Roaphos. Now, I'm controlling nitrates and phosphates with the use of NOPOX, so if I can also add a reactor in the back to run the rower, it means I'm not going to have to use the manifold at all, and I'm also going to gain that little bit of room in the tank as well. So look out for the videos moving forward with that. That possibly might be going ahead. We'll have to see, just to see what benefits the Refugium is doing. But at the moment, pods wise, we're growing our own and just dropping them into the tank. I know the mandarins are doing okay because we're a month gone now and they're absolutely fine. They've not lost weight at all. So it is going to be one of those things. It probably is going to be a hard decision, but if it cleans the sump up and makes maintenance a little bit easier, then so be it. I'm going to leave you now with a few shots of the 425 and how all the livestock are getting on. Everything's adjusted a lot faster than I ever thought it would do. So yeah, let us know what you think of the new scape and how everything's going on in the comments below. In the next few videos, we're going to have basically how to mix the Red Sea Reefer Foundation powders, because we're running short of those at the moment, so that'll be a good one to go up. Along with our custom Red Sea lid complete with feed hatch. So look out for those short ones coming up, along with a recap at 2 months of the new system going. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment or subscribe to the channel if you want to see future updates. Hope you enjoy the shots to the 425, and I'll catch you again soon. Thanks, guys.